Joining us from Kabul now is Obaidullah Bahir, lecturer at the American University of Afghanistan. Welcome to the News Hour. First things first, talking to the Taliban is one thing. Engaging with the Taliban and all those other countries who can unlock the money that the Taliban want and working with the Taliban is something completely different.
Always a pleasure being here. So look, any dialogue is better than no dialogue. And the idea is majorly dialogues and relationships fail between nations and the international community based on two major reasons. One is that expectations are never communicated properly, and such meetings are important for both sides to lay on the table what their expectations are and what they demand of each other. On the second level, it's really important for both sides to recognize their new role. The international community, for better or worse, must recognize that the Taliban are a political reality in Afghanistan. They do govern the population of the country, and the old toolbox of sanctions and putting pressure on them is not working currently, because at the front lines are Afghan people that are hungry, that have faced a shortage of medical supplies, that cannot access their own money within the banking system. All of these are problems that would need to be resolved as soon as possible.
Are there two potentially conflicting narratives here? One of them might be that there are certain areas over which the Taliban will never negotiate, but on flipping that around, on the other side of that narrative, is the United States being naive? Does the US delegation assume that everything is up for negotiation?
This is an important nuance in negotiation as well, and it is about recognizing or identifying what the sacred values of your opposing party are. So, for example, for the Taliban, there are certain things so tied up to the core of their identity that they would never compromise on those, especially not with an outsider, which is the international community. So then the solution is discuss the values that can be discussed and can reach a negotiation over the non-fungible values. And on the other end, support the Afghan community to create a united front, to negotiate for their own rights from within Afghanistan, because only then does the voice carry any weight when it's coming from the Afghan people. And that support has to be really subtle, but it has to exist. And the Taliban at the beginning need to open up to their own people, because they're not an insurgent group anymore. And the fates of 40 million Afghans are tied to how well they do. The absence of a democratic process means that the only way the Taliban leave power is through another bloody civil war. And we've paid far too great a cost for this post-conflict society to come to be. And now we have to make sure it works. And the international community, rather than crippling it, should be helping Afghans in figuring this out.
Very briefly, Mr. Bahir, we are running out of time on the connection to you, so keep it brief, please. Are we heading potentially towards two things? One, a humanitarian crisis, and because that kind of thing always focuses the minds of people outside a country like Afghanistan. Perhaps two, recognition of the Taliban by step change, if you will. If the US says, yes, we can work with them, there might be a domino effect with other countries.
Yes, a humanitarian crisis is looming, and it's far worse than anyone anticipated. And on the second question, the United States could just stop short of recognizing the Taliban. We need to create a new system in which a working relationship exists with the Taliban, but even if a major recognition is not done, but as long as the Afghan people can create a sustainable society and the Taliban can respond to what the international community expects of them as well.
OK, we must leave it there. Thank you so much, Obaidullah Bahir, for joining us from Kabul. Good to get your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.